Greetings, sentient beings. This broadcast is not intended for children. There will be strong language and adult themes.
Damn right.
And yeah, that sucks day is summed up with that apparently YouTube has canceled the thumbnail I put up, which it seems was fine for a solid week, but they've now decided it's not, probably because somebody claimed a copyright to the picture.
So whenever you see like a stock photo on my YouTube, it's because they've taken my photo down. They've done that for almost like my past 15 videos. So I just now pull stock videos off of Google and
That's
make
what
them.
I was using, was a stock photo off of Google.
That's so weird. It's such a gamble. Do you know how much music I
Well, and like
steal
I
off
say,
there?
they left it up there for a week. They just took it down today.
And as someone who steals a lot of content off of YouTube, they're so arbitrary on what they strike and what they don't
Yep,
strike. You never know what
exactly.
you will never know. I play famous songs and I don't get copyright strikes on it. It's the weirdest thing.
Yeah, well, that sucks. Pretty much sums up my day. I have had a great difficulty interfacing with the physical world today.
I'm sorry. Hey, Mark Caesar. You know,
Hey,
if
Mark.
where I live, saying saying that sucks is quite literally like when people in the South say bless your heart. So if you live in California, you'll hear like that sucks 4 or 5 times a day. At least around my area. It's quite literally in our language.
I suppose it's much the same around here. It's meant as a show of sympathy, like that sucks, man.
Yeah.
Exactly.
But
It's quite.
there is also stop doing that. That sucks.
And I
So
know
it
we've
can be
all.
accusatory as well.
Oh, absolutely. We've all heard the speech. It's like, dude, when you say dude to somebody, it's about your tone of voice.
Yep.
You could be like,
Yeah.
dude, or dude, you know.
You can have a complete conversation with just the word dude.
You really can. You really can. My
Hey,
cousin.
Mage.
How's it going?
Hiya, Mage.
We are talking that sucks as in an entirely negative way, and I don't think I'm capable of giving bad head. So
It's all situational, but there's no such thing as bad head, I guess. Life is situational, and I'm sure someone could conjure up something, you know.
There is a such thing as bad head, and it's the very
Yeah.
reason I don't like blowjobs at all.
I can see a couple of ways it can go bad.
I've still got
first of all, we've got the whole
marks.
list of things. Yeah, that could be painful.
Yeah, I still have scars. She
Okay.
tried to chew me off. It was a hell of a way to find out my partner was into those old Schoolhouse Rock cartoons. Because she chose then to exercise her choppers on some good hard food, baby.
I actually knew when I was younger, I knew a woman like that. And she actually taught me there's a list of things that I don't like, and that's on the list. She bit me so hard right here, she severed a nerve. And I couldn't go like this for like
Ow.
2 weeks. Oh, yeah. She literally put her canines together while we were, doing coitus. I was 19 years old and I learned a very valuable lesson. I do not like biting. I'm not into that kind of thing.
Yeah,
Well-
I'm not into biting or drawing blood in any manner.
No.
Well, mine, she scraped the underside with her bottom teeth. Is what she was doing. She was just like scrape, scrape, scrape. I'm like, ah.
Oh, I get it.
And I couldn't
it.
tell her to stop because I thought that would be impolite. So I just had to endure.
My reaction was so instantaneous. I had to go to the hospital. I had never had a severed tendon before. I wasn't ready for the immediate shock.
Oof.
I've never had a severed tendon. I've had a pulled one. But
oh yeah,
that sounds pretty extreme, especially in your neck.
Oh yeah. Yeah, it's because of my color. You can't see it, but I'm actually pretty scarred up. I have a scar right here. I have one across my lip. Oh, it went inside my lip from playing hockey. No, it was this very over-aggressive woman. When I was younger, I was cougar bait. When I was like 19, 20, those cougars saw me a mile away. I was dating 30 and 40-year-olds, and I thought I was just the business. But I was just the cabana boy.
Like I said, I've always had the problem of that I'm oblivious to people flirting with me, so, no telling how many opportunities I've missed out on over my life.
I moved around a lot, so I always capitalized on the new guy thing, because when you're the new guy, like everybody wants to get to know you,
Yeah.
And when I say moved
doesn't
around,
happen to me.
I got
Hello,
kicked out of every
Porpoise.
school. Hey, Porpoise.
Well,
Hello.
am I going to need to? Yeah, I'm going to need to.
I traveled around schools, not my hometown, but I got kicked out of every school. But it was always for Georgie Porgy stuff. It was never for like, having drugs in the bathroom or anything spectacular.
Everybody knows smoking ain't allowed in school.
I won't. That's my era. I love those songs. I absolutely love those songs.
I grew up with the Motley Crue version.
Okay.
That's the one I was singing right now.
Mage, I don't know about a pneumatic one. However, I was asked to build an electric one. So I took a reciprocal saw and I dialed the speed way down.
I don't know how they do that without hurting people. And I've seen it in I've seen it in action. I've seen people do it. I still don't know how they do that without hurting people.
I certainly wouldn't have let anybody use it on me, but apparently a couple of them were pretty happy with it.
I just don't understand the term reciprocal saw. I mean, is it supposed to cut you back?
No, it's the action of what it's doing.
I think it's a reciprocating saw, which means it's going both ways.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Okay. I mean, I kind of understood it as mostly a joke, but
now I just have Smoking in the Boys' Room stuck in my head.
Whee!
That's a good song to have stuck in your head, though.
It's better than a lot of songs, though.
Yeah. At least it's classic.
At least it's not Don't Worry, Be Happy.
Okay.
That one's not too bad. That one pops into my head from time to time, but
if I'm okay with that. I'm okay with that song. There's worse.
Ever since 2020, my motto's been the opposite. Don't happy, be worried.
I have that that don't worry, be happy mentality, but more in the Shaun of the Dead way, where like no matter what, I'm just gonna be myself. Let the world do its thing. I'm gonna whine and complain no matter what. So
I so do not. I have that. Well, get ready for it because it's gonna suck.
Speaking of things that suck, calculus homework.
Yeah.
Well, it's wonderful when I'm wrong. See, that's the thing. You approach it with, okay, this is what we're going to have to deal with. It's going to suck for a while, and then things go right or go better, and you're like, now I can relax.
Yeah,
see, it works.
For that to work out, though, I'd have to be wrong.
Because
you're talking to a person who's wrong all the time. So
I learned like when I was younger, I thought my pops was I thought he was crazy, but the truth is he lived longer because he didn't let anything affect him. He didn't show it. He didn't he would just say but he lived a lot longer for somebody who drank a bottle of vodka every day, smoked every day of his life, drank beers. He didn't worry about anything.
Well, there's no question that stress will kill you.
Absolutely.
It does horrible things to your
Oh,
system.
yeah. And I think you can approach situations. I just saw Mark's message there. But I think you can like deal with things without feeling the stress. I think I have managed to accomplish that sometimes, but most of the time I just can't switch it off and just can't do that. You know, it's just happened a couple of times.
Stress will kill you. Stress will put you in your grave. At my job, the people that live on campus, imagine like there are people that have mental disabilities, but imagine not having that much stress in your life. They live to be in their 80s and 90s, all of them, because they don't have the same stresses that we do. They have the, I got to go to work, or, I got to go to the dance, but they're like perpetually live a life of no stress. That's my personal case study. I've been around my whole life.
It would be so nice. I'm pretty much in a perpetual state of fear.
Me too. No, but what I'm saying is I stress out all the time. So I just one day I had my Office Space moment of like, F it, man. Like, F it. Hey, Maya. I was like,
hiya, Maya.
And I stopped worrying. I stopped worrying about the impending doom that is coming towards us all. It's how sewing quit worrying about the bomb, I guess.
Will, why are people remarking that like they're surprised you're alive?
Because I used to live stream almost every day, and now I just make videos and watch old BBC shows on YouTube. I'm not as involved in the community as I used to be. So that's
I was just wondering if you had like recently left a suicide note on Twitter.
Oh no, I'm from LA. I'm gonna go out and I want to be on the news. I'm gonna be on the news if when I'm having a bad day. I'm gonna make sure everyone sees it. That's a promise. More like when Martin Lawrence went crazy and he literally got naked on Hollywood Boulevard and put a gun to his head and danced around because he smoked too much crank or something.
What was that stuff going around for a while? I don't know what the status of it is. That weird drug that was making people act extremely bizarre in public.
Spice.
Synthetic
marijuana, or are you talking about bath salts?
There was bath salts too, but there was another one
that was
spice. And there was also crocodile, but I think that was messing people up. And that was popular around the same time. I can't think of the term of the one I'm thinking of though.
I think it might be spice. Around here that stuff was legal and it was killing people. They called it something else. It's synthetic pot, but it's nothing but chemicals.
It might be the same stuff they were putting there.
Sounds like K2.
What's that?
Yeah, that's synthetic marijuana.
What was that again?
K2.
K2. Okay. None of that's ringing any of my bells.
In downtown LA, it was an epidemic. People would go down there with their cell phone, and there were people just zombie zones in the street, and that stuff was legal.
Yeah, it looked like some pretty bad stuff. I don't think I would want to try it.
Well, what happens is someone goes to the FDA and they say this is a clean alternative to marijuana, and the FDA is like, okay. 2 years later, people are dying from it and they're addicted, and it's like worse than heroin,
Well, the FDA bans some things that have been well tested and seem to work extremely well. Like back in the day, there was I don't know if it's been approved or what's happened to it, but there was an alternative to the defibrillator that was being used in Europe. It was a weird sort of plunger that they were putting on a person's chest and using that, and it was working, and it was approved in Europe, but the FDA wasn't approving it here. And there was also another thing Europe was using for detecting breast cancer. it really was more or less just like a silicone breast implant, really, that you didn't implant. They were called breast pads, and it was basically the same thing. It was just a bag filled with silicone gel, but it would relieve the bumps and stuff when you palpate your body. So they were able to detect breast cancer before even like a mammogram could.
Crazy.
Yeah, and last I knew, and this is 15, 20 years ago, but last I knew, that was still not approved by the FDA.
Yeah, mammograms are largely a myth.
Are
Their
they?
rate of detecting cancers, their false positive rate is nearly as high as the rate of actual detections.
Yikes.
Really? I didn't know that. See, that all the more reason these breast pads were working so well. And yeah, like I said, this was a long time ago. For all I know, the FDA could have approved them by now, but last I knew, they didn't approve them. So
Mark Caesar, what Mark Caesar said is true. Do you know when they decriminalized pot, it took all the stigma away, and now I just go to the shop, I buy it, and I go home, mind my own business. I don't have to call a dealer or meet some weirdo at my local grocery store or anything, So I think decriminalizing drugs would really help. In a place like where Doc lives, that would literally save the area.
probably. I don't know how quickly people's attitude would change. Like the stigma is pretty strong here, but
what if it pumped a bunch of money?
On the other hand, way more people do it than most people realize. So,
but what if it revitalized your economy? I've watched it save some of the worst neighborhoods in LA, around my area, 20, 30 miles from my house. It's saved areas. Like gentrification, it's a good thing in certain areas,
Well, that's, Colorado was the first state to legalize it. And granted, they got a big boost because for a while they were the only state that it was legal.
True.
But 2-3 years in, their biggest problem was finding projects to throw the money at, because the revenues turned out to be 8 times what they had originally projected.
Even today, now that I think about it, the road that I drive home on is an old road. It's literally the old Route 66. It's complete. Wherever there's pot shops all up and down it, they're redoing the road because that entire side of the city has been revitalized because of marijuana.
Yeah, and I was just thinking, it's like we've got some crappy looking areas in this town, and some old dilapidated houses and stuff. And there are definitely roads that are maintained better. The more commonly used roads, and the roads, of course, in the wealthier areas.
Well,
some of our other roads look like the Hulk landed on them. and I was just thinking, if they did legalize and start getting some money from it, and we start fixing up some of the roads around here and start cleaning up some of the neighborhoods, see how people's attitudes change. But I kind of doubt it would even get to it's going to be a while to even get to that point, because getting through everybody in charge, the politicians and the owners of everything, you got to convince them that it would improve things, and they're not going to be convinced.
I hate to say this and it sounds mean, but we tried to pass the law like 4 or 5 years before Colorado, and it got voted down in California. 7 or 8 years later, we tried the same law with the same wording, and it got passed because the older generation wasn't around anymore.
Yeah.
And it's sad, but those people had aged out. And so, more people were like, hey, why not?
And I think that's really what it's going to take to pass it in any area. Is you wait until enough of the old people have died off and enough young people have gotten to voting age, so that the younger generation outnumbers the seniors.
I absolutely loved my dad. He was my hero. but because of our generational gap, he thought marijuana was the worst thing in the world. He never got over, even when it was legalized. He's like, "Oh, the potheads got a victory, huh?" But that was his generation. You know, he watched Reefer Madness for real, like not just as a joke. You know.
Yep.
Oh yeah, my mom's the same way. If the subject comes up, she just shakes her head with a really worried look.
Exactly. You know, so I understand because, like I said yesterday, propaganda works. There's propaganda on me that still works to this very day. I act a certain way because I was raised a certain way, you know? So I don't fault people. But pot should be legal. So vote yes.
Yes, it bloody should. Every bit as much as alcohol is. I don't. It makes no sense. It's like alcohol will kill you. You drink too much of it, it will kill you. You really can't smoke enough weed to kill you. You're gonna pass out.
So there's actual science behind that. There's actual science, okay? And here's the Scientific America godless sewing some of it. So let's say you smoke cigarettes. Okay, it would take you 80 years to get lung cancer from marijuana. You can get lung cancer, but with cigarettes, it takes less than 25 years. So what I'm saying is you're not going to get lung cancer from marijuana. You're not going to get sick from marijuana. It's not going to hurt you, as nicotine is intentionally made to be addictive and hurtful. Pot just makes you sleepy, happy, and hungry.
Yeah, well, you know, and with alcohol, a lot of people become violent. A lot of people start fights. You know, when people are smoking up, they don't get into fights. Potheads don't brawl.
Which is why I think the military hates it so much, because it like suppresses the killer instinct, you know?
Oh, absolutely. Yeah. I literally, like last night I got ripped and made a bunch of cornbread. That's the most violent thing I did was I'm on a mission to get fat. That's about it.
Well, you know, in this country, everything's about the money. It's about what corporations you can get behind it. You know, and I really think that we could get it, you know, on a national level. People just have to convince like Frito-Lay and Hostess how much they'll make off of everybody having the munchies all the time.
Yeah, see, that's the thing. It's like people could be making serious money off of drugs. The like Colombian cartels, like this is why the war on drugs failed, is because while we throw billions of dollars at the war on drugs, the drug cartels have like infinite money to throw at the war on drugs, and we will constantly fail at it.
Well,
and you know, they see all that money these cartels are making. How do they not see how much money they can be making off of legalizing some of this stuff?
Well, also in America, did you know that America buys 76%? Again, this is Scientific America math. You can look it up. 76% of all illegal drugs. Do you know how low our population is compared to a place like Africa? Africa has like 1.2. I know Africa is a continent. I know, but like, you know, look at India. You know, they outnumber us 3-1. They don't have the same drug problems that we do. In America, we like doing drugs.
You know?
So if they legalized it, it would revitalize our economy. And it would give people jobs too.
And it would be better regulated. So you aren't doing street drugs that you don't know where they came from and who put what in them, you know. It would be regulated. It would be much safer.
That's actually part of the problem. The government didn't want drugs to be safe. The government wanted the drugs to kill off a bunch of the minority population.
Yeah.
Which it made certain people rich. Beyond rich.
And the whole law against it is steeped in racism. They only made it illegal because minorities were doing it, and they wanted to have an excuse to throw them in jail.
You know what? And it's, I wouldn't say it's racist, but like in my town, I live in the burbs. They made a law where we can't have pot shops here. Okay, so they missed out on millions of dollars. Well, over the hill, I see people from my hometown in the parking lot. You know,
it's racist because they made it part of the minority stereotype. When in fact, you know, the people who are living at the poverty level can't afford drugs. Mm-hmm. It's the white kids from the suburbs that are buying most of it.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. When I was, do you know, it's really funny you would say that. When I was in junior high and high school, I was on drugs. I was on real drugs. When my dad was like, get the F out of my house, I went out and got a real life. You know, I went out in the real world. I quit drinking and I stopped doing drugs because I could not afford them. Because I was more concerned with putting a roof over my head. And I'm not saying tough love works, but I was more concerned with eating than doing drugs.
Yeah, drugs are a luxury item. You got to make sure that you're not going to get evicted and you've got food before you can think about getting drugs.
Hell yeah. When I dropped out of college, my dad was like, okay, you're cut off. And I stopped. I couldn't afford to have a drug habit anymore. It's magic how those things happen.
Oh, there's Jenny.
Hey.
Hi, kids. Mom's
Who
here.
sank your battleship?
Hello.
Howdy, everyone.
Hi,
Jenny was there when we had the live stream of should we legalize all drugs?
Yep. Who sank your battleship?
The only drug I take is usually this form.
The Ukrainians. They did it again.
Ukraine.
That ship they damaged the other day, it sank. Down there in the Black Sea, it's fucked.
I had heard they had hit a ship with a missile. That was all I knew about it.
This is the second ship that they've hit with a missile.
Yeah, but I mean that this week I had heard they'd hit one.
Yeah.
I feel like now I have to write a song like Marty Robbins saying sink the Bismarck, to sink the Ruskies. It's a working title.
What was the name of the ship?
I have a meme with a Maskov or something like that. But there's just all kinds of memes. And people have been just absolutely cruel. Somebody did a picture of a Revell model company box, you know, when a model battleship, except the battleship is sinking, you know. What are some of the other better ones?
Again, one of the reasons Russia wants Ukraine back is it was a major seaport.
Only
and
only
they
warm
actually
one.
built some of the capital ships for the Russian Navy when the USSR was one thing.
It was their only warm water port.
Yeah. They've been wanting a warm water port forever.
And yes, Mark Caesar, in a weird way, I was shocked when my pops gave me everything. I was shocked, and I still kind of am to this very day. And the man who
how did that work out that you got it all? You know, what about your siblings and that? And didn't
I have 9 brothers and sisters, and my father, he would feverishly talk trash about them, and I thought he was joking because he'd say, "Oh, they're, you know, all they do is come around for money and stuff." And like, I screwed up in life, so I came and lived with my parents for a while, but I helped out my dad. I worked with him.
How do I turn it off?
We drove.
Oh, sorry.
We drove trucks, you know, we had a good time, and I really bonded with my father. And over like a 10-year period, it was strange when he died. Like, it was the weirdest thing. I don't know. Now my brothers and sisters hate me. Hate me all you want.
Well, you lived with him then for the last 10 years of his life?
We became friends. Because my dad worked for NASA, because he was a genius, I'd ask him all the time, like, if you didn't like kids, why'd you have so many? Because he was bad at relating to kids. But as I came back an adult, and we related to each other. We kind of had similar lives in a very like, he liked hearing about my conquests. He loved, like, I don't know, the rigid old sea dog kind of, he in his old age, he kind of softened up a little bit. So, and for somebody who was like straight hillbilly, he was like pro LGBTQIA plus, and that's rare for anyone his age. That was his age. But I think it was a final FU to my family because, like, my family owns a ranch, and like where I'm from, you actually like you have to. It's about being. You actually have to be who you are. You can't just say, "Oh, I'm this and this." You actually have to be it.
Mm-hmm.
And I guess I proved it.
Yeah, around where I live, it's all image. Nobody's anything they say they are. It's all a bunch of bullshit.
Yes, Mark Caesar. I got lucky. Like, honestly, I got lucky. I have a positive, like, my dad was a positive guy. Like, I had a positive upbringing for anything I did to myself. Like, he was a good guy. So, hey, Skids Crasher. But
I think that's what they mean when rural people say it. I live here because it's real. That people don't try to inflate their egos, and on a routine basis, and that they are what they say they are because they have to be.
Absolutely.
And it's way different than living in the city, and I'll never go back to the city.
You just
that
can't.
Wasn't my experience living in a small town.
Just like in my life, you just can't sleep in. If you get up early enough and handle all your business, you'll have all day. It's just not a. Like I said, it's not a lazy person or procrastinator's job. And I come from a long line of procrastinators.
I guess mine pretty much is, because sleeping in for me means continuing to sleep while everybody else is just going to bed.
Doc, I wish if Isaiah wasn't around, I would work third shift. I miss that world. It's a whole different universe when you work third shift.
Doc, do you ever get that attitude from people who don't understand that you work until sunrise, who get on your case about sleeping till noon?
I really don't get that, but I don't sleep till noon. I actually I'm actually up in the morning after I get off work, and then my bedtime is 3 p.m. So technically, I have a normal schedule like everybody else. I go to bed, I get up, go to work my shift, have my after work time, free time, and go to bed. Just like everybody else. I just do it a little bit later or earlier, depending on how you look at it.
Yeah, again, it was something that my family never seemed to get. That when I was getting off work at 8 o'clock in the morning, I needed to sleep during the day.
But the thing I get from people is, well, don't you go to bed as soon as you get home from work? No. because after work I need at least a couple hours to unwind. I can almost, unless I've like just run myself ragged and I'm collapsing from exhaustion, there's no way I'm getting to sleep within 2 hours from working anyway. Plus I hate having free time before work. I don't like to like hang out for hours and then get all sleepy from watching shows, and then I have to go to work now. I prefer to like get up, give myself just enough time to get ready and get to work when my shift starts, work my damn shift, and then I got my free time afterward to do whatever I want.
I think my favorite time to work was second shift. From 3 to 11.
Oh, I hated second shift.
Really?
Second shift is all right. I like second shift because then I do the same thing. I'm up after my work time, so then all night is my free time, and then I go to bed in the morning.
When I was in my 20s, I worked second shift when I was in Portland. I was I was in a a shift leader at Carl's Jr. in good old Portland, Oregon. I had never gotten in so much trouble in my life, and I'm not talking about like in fist fights. So I have no problem with second shift. You meet all kinds of cool people at night.
Mm-hmm.
I met a ton of people.
Yeah,
That's usually the busiest time, depending on where you're working. Fast food and the gas station I was working at. That's one of the busier times.
Portland was weird because it would be quiet, and then like one night a bunch of goths would walk in and be like, "Oh, it's the goth convention." Then the next week, a bunch of people would walk in dressed like the Big Lebowski, and then like, "Oh, we're watching the Big Lebowski up the street from here." Like, Portland was awesome 22 years ago. Gosh, that was a long time ago. 23 years ago.
That is a long time.
It was so long ago.
Half my life.
Richard.
Hey, Athena.
There was one. Well, this was in the Chris Hitch and Richard Dawkins era. They actually came to Portland, Oregon, when I was working at good old Carl's Jr. That was one of the crowds that came in. But the funny thing is, not one person brought up atheism. Now that I think about it, not one person. They were all polite and minded their own business, and that's how it should be. People minding their own business, you know. But they were all in town to see Dawkins and Hitchens.
Yeah, and Mark hit on something good there. Rotating shifts is something employers do around here a lot, and it sucks.
I couldn't hang. I need a routine where I know.
Yeah.
You know.
I was at one place that wanted to do that, and I begged them just to leave me on third shift. Rotating shifts just assures that none of your employees are properly alert.
Absolutely.
Yep.
There used to be a joke of like we'd see somebody at the job and we'd wave like, who's that? Like, I don't know, they're probably third shift. Just wave.
Yeah. Well, yeah, second shift was just impossible because it's like that's the time when everyone is doing anything. So it's like on third shift you could sleep while other people were at work. But if you're trying to either work or sleep when everyone else thinks it's the social hour, forget it. People just won't let you do it.
I liked second shift because it worked with my sleep schedule. But I think we're missing the important thing. Why did we let morning people set the schedule for the world?
I don't know. That's a very, very good question. Do you see how I jumped when you said that? Because that's so true. I'm a night owl.
I swear they did it while we were all asleep.
Yeah, exactly. I would be okay if we did all the stuff in the morning. If we did it at night.
Actually, that is a very entertaining joke. I don't want to take away from it, but the answer is farmers. Farmers set the time. Their job is very time oriented. The morning is an important thing for them.
So you're saying to fix this problem, I've got to use the time machine to go all the way back to the start of agriculture.
I was about to say, as somebody who works with alfalfa and hay, you better like invent robots.
You not only have to go back in time to stop the development of agriculture, you got to bring food replicators with you.
I was about to say you'd have to find a way to still feed the masses is what I'm trying to say.
Yeah.
Because regardless, that's the crummy thing. Like you know, it's the old cliche. Without farmers, we'd all be naked and starving.
Yeah.
But it's true.
Yep, exactly.
Some of us.
We don't need farmers not to be naked.
Besides, I could deal pretty well with the naked part, apart from the below zero temperatures.
This guy, a couple property overs, was losing his ranch, and he put that sign up. And so every day for 2 years, I drove past the sign that said that.
Yeah, so if you're wearing all synthetic fibers, you don't need farmers for your clothes.
No, I was just thinking you can make. I mean, animal hides are a valid way to make clothes.
Yeah,
exactly.
Yeah, we had clothes before we had agriculture.
That's a valid
mostly
question.
It was, that when you killed an animal, you skinned it and you scraped out the hide real good so it didn't rot too fast.
Yeah, but when the animal or when the hide is from an animal that is a human, people don't look on that so well.
No, Doc. No, they don't. No.
It's a curious thing. I mean, what if they're not using it anymore?
Oh man, I'm in this. I don't even know who put me. I'm in.
What
a
if it's a
serial
really
killer
hairy guy? That's
I'm-
just a waste.
The first
to
thing
bury
when
it.
he said that, you made me think of Ed Gein's mask. I know way too much about serial killers.
You know, actually, I had a different perspective on that because one of the things my fiance was actually quite annoyed with the idea of, any kind of artwork being destroyed. So she had actually wanted her skin to be stretched and mounted to display her tattoos after she died.
That would
It was
be
not
that would
something
be
I would
interesting.
approve of, though.
It's not rare though. That's not like in Japanese and ancient Chinese culture that was done all the time.
Yeah, because she had a huge dragon that took up her entire back.
Oh, that's awesome. That's awesome.
That's,
Yeah, see, I really
she
don't
was
see
just
anything
in the
wrong with
process of starting to get it colored in when she died.
Oh, let me jump on let me go surfing on Google because I think there's other cultures that do that too.
Yeah, just in the U.S., you couldn't really get somebody to do it.
Yeah, but they started doing. Wow, I don't want to get into it. I have plans for when I pass away. Don't play with my body. Like I think it's weird when they prop someone up. They're like, oh, he loved to play poker, so they put him at a poker table or something. Like, or they'll put a guy on his motorcycle. Like, no, shove me in a pod, put me under a tree, and go drink a beer in my honor.
Will Rogers had that in his will, and they wouldn't do it. That when his horse Trigger died, he had him stuffed. And he had it in his will that he wanted to be stuffed and sat on top of his horse.
Oh, that's so weird. That's so weird. They started, there was a guy in New York that did that, and then because of the internet, people were like, oh, we do that here, we do that here. I think that's weird.
All right, when I die, I want someone to show up at the funeral, the sonic screwdriver wearing my clothes, and when they start to give the eulogy, I want them to stand up and say, right, this is where it gets complicated.
I love that idea. That's awesome.
That'd be beautiful.
There was a group of people, oh God, this has got to be 20, 30 years ago now, that they developed a process where when you die, they would freeze dry you. Like the fruit in Cocoa Puffs or something like that. And set you up in whatever position you want to be in, eyes open, high waving, it doesn't matter. Freeze dry you, and you stay in that position for all of eternity.
No.
And because you're freeze dried, there's no rot. There's no.
No, I'm not a prune. You a prune? No.
So I wanted to get freeze dried and put on a park bench feeding the squirrels.
My like around in LA when someone passed away, it's not rare for someone to put their face on a t-shirt. Before my dad passed away, he grabbed me. He's like, "Don't put my effing face on a t-shirt." Like, I have very specific burial requests as well. Don't put my face on a t-shirt. And I have another one. Don't tell lies at my funeral. Don't say, "Oh, he was a great guy." Say, "No, he was a cantankerous a-hole. He had some good days. He had some bad days." Like, go tell the truth. Tell the truth.
Oh. Yeah. Well, I've given Sloth Girl instructions for my funeral, and the first thing is she's got to find a ventriloquist to sit in the front row and reply to everyone who comes up to the casket and talks to me.
I like the Time Lord idea.
That is
Time
beautiful.
My honest wish to have happen when I die is to be cremated and then to be put in a little box, of course, And now it could actually happen nowadays. To give, put me in Blue Origin's hands or in Richard, whatever his name is, hands. And when you get up there to space, toss my box out the window, and
Absolutely.
let me just kind of degrade in orbit until I come through the Earth, and I want to visualize that here's some kid with their mom out watching the stars, and they get this this little meteorite that just vaporizes, and some kid can make a wish on me as I burn up.
Yep, that would be cool.
Wouldn't it be?
Groovy.
For those of you who are here, I put a link of the last known picture of the Moskva before it sank.
Awesome. That reminds me, Skid Scratcher just said something. I once, and I know this sounds really morbid, but because I'm around a lot of, well, not around, but my family, because I was raised Catholic, a lot of them are born again Christian. I want my last moments to be recorded so that everyone knows that I did not recant my blasphemy on my deathbed.
Yep.
Because they will lie and say, "Oh, he accepted Jeebus." No deathbed confessions. I want someone there with a camera.
Okay, Porpoise.
Fuck Pascal.
Yeah, he died angry. Damn it, see, Jenny gets it.
Porpoise, type something in the YouTube chat so I can give you the wrench and you can be able to post pictures and stuff. Then
sorry. I come from a much older family because I literally am the oops baby. I've been to a lot of funerals and I sit there and I'm like, these mother effers are lying. He didn't like you.
Yeah.
I want people to know, like, no, he did not like you. He did not believe in your religion. Deathbed confession from sewing. People said that.
And that's I'm gotta have soft girl handling everything.
I mean, if you just want to share it, if you can share it on the screen, you can just share that picture.
Okay, I did already post the link to it, but
the reason I say that is
in the future.
Because
come on, put it on screen.
I've heard people say that about.
Okay.
I've heard people say that about Hitchens. I've heard people say that about certain people, and I'm like, I doubt they gave a deathbed confession. I'm sorry, I doubt they did.
Actually, my favorite story of that sort is what Voltaire supposedly said on his deathbed.
Absolutely.
It's like, do you want to renounce for Satan? Voltaire supposedly said, No, now's no time to be making enemies.
Oh, greatest quote. That is such a great quote.
Oh God, that is a beautiful picture.
With the tractor, the same one.
Sinister, could you send it to me on Twitter?
Who do I follow you on Twitter?
Yeah, we're in the same DMs.
In May 1441, the war had just begun. The Germans had the biggest ship. They had the biggest guns. Don't worry, I won't sing this song.
Yeah.
Well, we could laugh at it so good because they evacuated everybody from the ship. There were no people on the ship when it went down.
Oh, that's
a
Navy.
shame.
So there was no human life lost. Great. This big nasty battle thing sunk. Hooray!
Okay, so my dad used
the
to
environmental damage it did.
My dad used to always say this, like, you fight the ship and then you turn around and pick up all the guys that were on that ship.
Think of how much environmental damage their little missile setup and cannons and things would have cost too. And I think it's thinking that we can tolerate.
They've started I'm sorry. There's a war going on. We can't worry about ancillary damage.
Yeah, I can't believe Putin, that big pussy, is complaining. Oh, well, they blew up our oil tanks and stuff. Well, it's a war, dude.
You started a war, bro.
You wiped out half their nation, and you're whining about some oil tanks? Fuck you.
Yeah, and you're still losing badly.
Yeah.
Even though you have a larger military force.
Yeah, well, that's the thing. Putin had promised everybody it would be over in a week.
And we sent, 10,000 people to Iraq in the first shock and awe and shut two countries down with 10,000 people.
Yeah. We didn't
and
need
they
to.
can't.
I mean, I think we're still in Iraq.
We are, of course, we are. There was a bombing 3 or 4. No, Ramadan. It's Ramadan. So they're bombing the heck out of Iraq right now. There was one in Israel, and there was one in I saw it. I was actually watching someone who was talking about it today. It's Ramadan, so there's all kinds of crazy stuff going on.
Yeah, Mark, to be fair, the only reasonable way to believe that Sloth Girl will outlive me is if she is responsible for my death. But I don't have anyone else who I think would actually do this shit. My family would have nothing to do with the way I want my funeral done.
She's probably really capable of it. So I'd watch myself if I were you around her.
Do you know what's really effed up?
Okay, she's capable of killing me, but she would need me to hide the body, so she can't do it.
You know, one day, my ex-wife walked in my house and she was like, you know, what are you going to do with all that stuff? I looked her dead in the eye and I said, you know what? I'm going to die and leave it all to you. And she was like, please don't. Please don't. I won't worry about it when I'm gone. It won't be my problem.
That would be for me. I'm a junk collector hoarder just like you, and that would be a reason for me to kill you.
Yeah. No, because she's always like, the look in her eye was like, oh, F, he's just crazy enough to do it. No, because the truth is Isaiah gets all my stuff, but by proxy, she will, you know. And I tell her all the time, like, a victory isn't may not be a victory.
Now, see, that's why I haven't accumulated that much. It's why I would never buy life insurance. I don't want anyone to ever get the idea that I might be worth more dead than I am alive.
I am, but I won't go quietly.
Well, yeah, I mean, you've got a house that somebody's got to inherit.
Exactly. That's the one thing people fight and hate each other over that I've noticed, being the youngest, coming from a large family where my aunts and uncles have passed away. Like, it's always the house. People always stop talking over the house. It's always like the last fight they'll ever have. It's really petty and stupid, actually. But when money gets involved, people lose their damn mind.
Indeed.
I've seen my cousin and I, we were best friends my whole life. If we can't even sit in the same room now, and it's all over money. We hate each other.
Tina would like to say hi to everyone and to give her treats.
Oh.
Yeah, actually, that's a bit ironic because, you know, my mom really wanted me to stay there and, like, help her through her final years so I could inherit the house. And I was like, but I don't want a house in some place that I don't want to live. So one of my sisters is doing it instead now.
It's happening to me because I no longer reflect the values of this town. I no longer feel the same way about of the people around me, and that's okay. But I'm gonna move within the next 2 years.
The values of the town.
My town's become completely like MAGA Trump QAnon weirdo.
Yeah,
I guarantee it's still not as bad as Indiana.
No, it's not. I live in California, but you know, people are still flying Trump flags and stuff, and where my cousin lives in Arizona, and super right-wing Arizona, no one cares. No one's flying MAGA flags. No one's like, they're just people living their lives, going to work every day. And I'm not saying I'm moving to Arizona. I might, because I used to live there, but I'm just saying, like, I no longer reflect the pretentious values of the, like, you know, keeping up with the Joneses BS. Having the nicest car, the greenest grass. Like, I don't care.
Yeah, all these people are freezing themselves for cryogenically, thinking they're going to be woken up someday. No, you're just going to be this icicle that slowly thaws out and stinks to high heaven.
So, Jenny,
some point after the apocalypse.
You just reminded me. I apologize for interrupting. You just reminded me. In Arizona, Walt Disney, Mickey Mantle, and a bunch of other people are frozen, hoping. for
Walt
that very hope.
Just Walt Disney's head is frozen.
Oh, that's just so weird. And Futurama will be real one day, and I'm gonna laugh.
That's good. That's good advice, Mark. Yeah. Especially if you are transgender, you need to have a will and some legal papers drawn up so that you can prevent your family from burying you forever, for all time, under your dead name.
Absolutely.
Yeah, I was going to say, I have heard it's a myth that Walt Disney was frozen.
Now I got to look up. All right, Google flew again. It's Thursday night.
Last thing I heard, his head was frozen, not the rest of his body.
The cryogenics is just a waste of money because, they have to keep them frozen perpetually.
Alexa?
And no one has had a storage facility that's been capable of doing that. In every instance, something has happened and the bodies have thawed because something went wrong with the storage.
Well, not according to Futurama.
Okay, so Walt Disney had himself encased in liquid nitrogen when he died, according to Alexa. Thank you.
Okay, well, Maid says he was cremated.
The A word just said he was. See, it's Grant's Gold. We're right back to Grant's Gold. They're just it's all a different story on a different story, and now it's just going to be part of a drinking game when some college kid.
I would wonder though, if Alexa, doesn't have some popular mythology and legends rather than necessarily the facts at times.
I think that about things that we live in everyday life.
It's just kind of when you ask Alexa a question, is she just going to Google, or what's her source of the information?
She always says, according to the web. Or according to Google, blah, 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 blah. Or
so basically, she's doing a Google search and going by the first result.
But that's a logic. That's what a computer would do.
Right. Yeah, I'm just saying it's not necessarily the most accurate one. It's more likely she gets the result that's been referenced the most times.
I would say Alexa's about 60% accurate, but I ask Alexa, the A word obvious questions, and it's good for Isaiah because he'll walk up and be like, "How do you spell this?" Or just certain things that. Back in my day, they would have made you write down on a piece of paper.
I have gotten so lazy. I've always taken quite a bit of pride in my English skills, particularly spelling. I was always a great speller. I always won the spelling bee and that kind of stuff. And as I've gotten older, there's words I've forgotten how to spell. And instead of trying to work my brain and remember it, I just go on to my dictionary program and put it on voice to text and just say the word. It spells it out for me.
My spelling has always been hideous, and it's still a big problem for me because my spelling's so bad that a lot of times the spell checker can't figure out what word I was trying to put.
The iPhone changed my life. I stopped spelling. When I got an iPhone, you just kind of get near the word, it'll spell it out for you. iPhones you will digress backwards. Like with my iPhone, I have digressed backwards.
I really I really miss the ability to remember numbers. I back in the analog days. At my shop, I had a phone list of the businesses and people that we had to be most in contact with, and it was 3 pages, typewritten, about a 10-point font, every line for 3 pages, single-sided. And I knew every one of those numbers in my head. The list was for other people around me. And I couldn't even begin to tell you any of those numbers today. Not a chance.
Archer has the comment of the night so far. Autocorrect is a ducking moron.
Wait, okay. According to Snopes.com,
Mormon.
Disney's death certificate shows that he was cremated 2 days after his death. The name, license number, and signature of the embalmer appearing on the death certificate or those of a real embalmer who was employed at the Forest Lawn Mortuary at the time.
See, now that's really bad. You guys just ruined one of my favorite yucks about how silly the society has become, and now it's just not true.
So Walt Disney really was frozen.
No, he was cremated.
Oh, okay. Okay.
The whole frozen thing is an urban legend.
I have "Don't Worry, Be Happy" stuck in my head. Sorry, I had to turn it down in my skull for a second.
Well, after hearing the Frozen reference, I just want to say, snow glows white on the mountain tonight, not a footprint to be seen. A kingdom of isolation, and it looks like I'm the queen. The wind is... Okay, I'm done.
See, they should have... Walt Disney should have taken the opportunity when they released the film Frozen to have him in the background or something, not Frozen. Just...
Well, Jenny, isn't it even better about our society that 3/4 of the population believes something that was never true?
I say this all the time. In America, the average American thinks that Joan of Arc was Noah's wife. And I'm not kidding you. I'm not kidding. It's funny, but it's not funny.
I see that pop up all the time.
Sorry.
Everybody believes something that isn't true.
That what? I missed that.
That Joan of Arc was Noah's wife.
Yeah.
Oh my God.
Yes.
Yeah.
Oh
Yeah.
A lot of people believe that. Yeah.
Yes. People are crazy.
She was married to Lafayette. What the hell did people think?
Tech people.
Well, she wouldn't have been around in Noah's time.
Jenny, people in Texas were burning snowballs and saying they can't. It's not melting. It's not melting. Get out of here, America! I'm embarrassed. And I came through the Los Angeles school system. I'm embarrassed for people.
Well, it is kind of interesting in the science of melting a snowball with a cigarette lighter, why it doesn't melt as quickly as you would think it would.
Well,
I don't know that. Can't explain it. I don't know it myself, but
I have tried to burn a hole in my drink cup with a lighter, and it's a similar effect.
So it is
like you can take your paper and wax drink cups you get from the fast food joint. You can probably light them up all by themselves, somewhat easily. But if you've got fluid in it, it resists. Like, I can't burn a hole with a lighter. It's just a similar effect. It's just the physics of it somehow. I don't know how it works, but
I don't care. It is a documentary.
It's an incomplete combustion reaction, and so it's going in on itself, and you can't see it, according to the A word.
Well, like Mark Caesar here, the heat gets dissipated way too fast for it to affect little areas.
But I was so disappointed, though, that people in my country were jumping to such idiotic conclusions and showing how much we're lagging behind in education in America.
Mark, what you could do is just stop rubbing before you actually, explode, and just stretch it out a little bit. And they say
edging. That's called edging. That's called edging, Jenny.
And stretching it out is usually a torture technique.
Hey, some people are growers. Oh, poor guy. Someone said that to my face one time, and I said, mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Aw. Good times. But it's just really sad. So, do better, America.
Yeah, Mark, just, you do you. I'm sure that you won't have a problem finding people to help you with that, but yeah, not my thing.
I have a saying. I love pain as long as it's not mine.
Other people's pain is quite funny. And I didn't turn my camera back on.
But no. I'm sorry. I do not take any joy from other people's suffering.
I do not take joy from other people's pain unless it is self-inflicted. Then it's funny.
I do not take joy from other people's pain. I do not take it in the rain.
Didn't your mother tell you it was going to hurt?
Now, other people's pain is only funny is if before it happens, you can see it and you know that this person has to know better than to try this. That's the only time the pain is really funny.
Or they really deserve it.
Jenny is turning this into a prison movie real quick.
What did I do this time?
But the line that you just said reminded me of like American Me or something.
Oh,
one of those scary prison movies I saw as a kid.
That is from a movie. I just can't remember which one. Some kind of sleazy porn film.
You didn't take much. When I was a kid, I was like, nope, not going there. And that was just watching the movie.
Is there any type of porn film that isn't sleazy?
Hey, dog. I saw.
Hi, guys. I apologize. I was on.
Hey, Wolfman.
Congrats on your Neil show.
You're on Neil's show?
Story.
Yeah, I saw. I was watching. I watched it.
Yep. I didn't see it yet. It's in my playlist for tomorrow.
I was watching.
I should probably go back.
It didn't give me the chance to. My hate, but is that hypocritical? You guys. I always say religion, the Christianity cult. They're nothing but hate cults. But me portraying my hatred of Catholicism, does that make me a hypocrite?
No, because I was raised Catholic and I have an utter, complete blind rage towards the Catholic Church. So I understand where I understand where I've actually been to Rome twice. So I think it's the definition of disgusting opulence.
Well, it's like are you a bigot if you're intolerant of intolerance?
So no, I don't.
And no, I don't think so.
But sorry.
That's called the paradox of tolerance.
I consider the Catholic Church to have done real atrocities, and not just the way I was raised, like whatever. But in our lifetime, their atrocities, so to speak, have been unearthed and continue to. Do you realize that when the Catholic Church came in, this is in the Spaniard time, but they annihilated the Native American population
and enslaved them.
Yes, and drove them to death because they weren't used to being chained down. They would teach us this when I was a kid. They would teach us this because we weren't snowflakes.
Well, I can give you Catholic. Did you know? Can I just say hi, Jenny?
Hey, daughter.
I was nowhere near your battleship, mate.
What? I'm sorry, what? I missed that.
I was nowhere near your battleship. So
I don't bullshit. I only tell the truth.
Battleship?
It was in the Bible, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
Anyway.
If it's in the Bible, it's irrefutable.
I was telling a factual story about the recent Pope Francis.
See, the mistake people make about the Bible, they have the tale, of course, of Jesus taking the water and making it into wine and stuff like that. Well, he was able to do that because if you read the chapters on Noah correctly before the manipulated definition or translations, you find out that it's instructions to build a still.
That's right.
So drinking is a holy occupation.
And that's where the breatharians come from.
Mm-hmm.
Now that's a song that you should get stuck in your head is the Rye Whiskey Song.
Yeah,
Rye
I'm a
whiskey.
breatharian and I only drink rye whiskey.
I know quite a few rum. I know quite a few rum runners songs from the old days.
I'm a breatharian and I only drink rye whiskey can only be sung in a style of the Crazy Frog, surely. Ning, 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 no, I only drink rye whiskey. That sounds more like George Formby, to be fair.
You know what, dog? There's many talents that I have, and I can't sing. I wish I could sing. I sing all the time. I wish I could sing.
Why not? Go for it. I can't sing, but I still sing in a band.
Oh no, I try. But I'm more like in the car.
The reason, the proof that I can't sing, but I front a band is the reason I'm on YouTube talking to you and not pushing you away as a fandom sort of thing.
Hey,
But I still sing. It doesn't stop me.
there are only two things that kept me from pursuing a career in music. And that would be a sense of rhythm and any discernible musical talent.
Does that matter to anybody?
It depends. You know what? I own 2 banjos, acoustic guitar. I have what else? I have all kinds of crazy instruments.
I have 4 harmonicas.
Yeah, I actually have a case of harmonicas right over here, and I'm okay, you know. But I entertain myself.
Will,
and the mandolin.
Will, would you say that
was in the Bible?
Hi, Mark. I've said Mark. Would you say that secularism is not a form of brainwashing?
Okay, but it depends. See, here's the thing. If you do not like my son right now, he was raised an atheist, but at any moment, if he looked at me and was like, you know what, I want to go to church, I would take him. If he was like, I want to go to temple,
no.
I would take him.
I'm talking about shows like The X Factor or America's Got Talent. Does that not take your individualism away?
Well,
that makes you think if I went on stage, everyone would laugh at me and boom, boom, boom. I would just be humiliated forever.
Oh, me too, like the Gong Show.
You've seen nothing. Now, we know that the people that go on these shows are they're not hand-picked, but they're picked through a sort of, I don't know, what would you call it, a filter system where they would make the show. They're so bad that they would make it look good. That's the money side of it.
It's the Hollywood.
It's just secularism being a sort of like religion type thing. Does it matter what people think of you? Or just fucking sing, man.
Here's my thing. If you live your life,
sing, and no matter how bad or good you are. Now I think I'm good on the. I'm shit on the guitar. I'm shit at singing. I think I'm good on the harmonica.
I'm not.
I sing, but people ask me not to. And if you have any question about it, you can look on my channel there. There is a clip where I was on Diana's stream and I sang Tom Lear's Christmas Carol.
Yeah, but perhaps I think you're wonderful. Whatever you do, and I've said this on other channels. Perhaps she's great. She gets on with it and she just says it how it is. And that's how it is. If your friends will come up to you and say, oh, you sounded great. Oh, you were brilliant. What you did was brilliant.
I don't say, because when I do, I hurt my own ears.
The bullshit, Jenny. People can spot the bullshit.
Sloth Girl.
You know when people are buffering up to you.
I'll tell you, like, My pops thought that because he was from the South, he thought he could play the blues. The man was tone deaf. He was tone deaf. I'm not kidding you. He went up. He convinced all these people he could play the banjo. He because he was always upstaging me. I had a Dean banjo. He went out and bought a Fender banjo. My father went and performed in front of 85 people and got a standing ovation. The man had never had a formal lesson of banjo playing in his life, but he had bullshit and confidence.
Exactly. This is the thing.
And he just had balls of steel. And I was embarrassed at first, and I'm like, these people are jamming out with him. I couldn't believe it, but he had enough moxie to look people in the eye and be like, I'm gonna entertain you for an hour. So it's all, he believed it.
Will, answer this truthfully. How many people said to him, "You were shit"?
No one.
Exactly.
He was doing what he loved.
That's just instilling confidence into a bad player, is it? Yeah. Now, I've had people come to me and said, "That was bad." I have a friend say, "Yeah, your band is shit." And I said, "Well, fucking know that, but I'm still going to do it. Because I don't give a fuck about you. I don't give a fuck about opinions. We're going to sing and we're going to do this." That's what we do.
I call it
if you instill this. But to be fair, without this instillment of confidence to the shit people, Simon Cowell would be a poor man.
Well,
he would be a bricklayer somewhere, or on the dole.
Yeah, I know it's one of the things she misses because with COVID and all. But when we lived in Michigan, Sloth Girl was a local celebrity, just from going around and doing karaoke at the bars.
Oh, that's awesome! That's awesome.
Yeah, but Sloth Girl is a YouTube phenomenon.
I love people like that.
She is.
She's
a YouTube phenomenon, and
I quit drinking. I quit drinking years ago, so I don't go to bars anymore. But that's the one thing I miss is karaoke night when someone walks up and they can legitimately sing.
I love karaoke night.
I miss that. I really do, because there's some people that they're quiet as a church mouse and they walk up there and they shock you. And they absolutely shock you. It's better than TV, I'll tell you. But I do not drink anymore, so I don't partake in that.
We have some places around here that do karaoke that aren't bars.
Oh, that's cool.
A pizza place.
Now, I could not do karaoke if the entire audience is not drunk.
I've always wondered about that. No, because when you're hammered, your inhibitions are gone. You think you're so much better. Do you know, when I drank whiskey told me that I could fight. Whiskey told me that I could get on my motorcycle one night on Las Vegas Boulevard when I crashed. Whiskey lied to me.
When does alcohol become an enabler to be you?
No, it wasn't. But I would become obnoxious.
If you want to sing, sing.
No, but I would become obnoxiously inhibition.
Now, see, I'm not like that at all. I'm a very quiet drunk.
I quit drinking for a reason because my personality was on steroids when I drank whiskey.
I've never been drunk, but I'd like to say when I do play the harmonica on my streams, it's not supposed to be good.
I quit drinking for a reason. I don't drive. I don't get on motorcycles anymore because I crashed so bad and gave myself PTSD, and it was because of whiskey. Well, that and crashing a motorcycle.
Porpoise, did you say you've never been drunk?
No, yes, never drunk.
Wow.
Good for you, and don't ever do it. It's
a
miserable feeling.
Yeah, I'm pretty drunk now, to be fair.
But I had too much LDS in the 80s.
Being drunk is a good feeling. Coming back from being drunk is miserable.
Yeah.
I haven't had a sip in almost 8 years.
Yeah,
not a drop.
I don't drink coffee or tea either.
What?
Well, I hate coffee for one, but
I'm coffee's my blood type.
The effect that got me to not drink was the vertigo. I cannot stand vertigo and that feeling of the room spinning and shit, and having no ability to lessen it, change it, make it go away. Nothing.
I haven't had that as far as the whole room spinning for several decades. But yeah, generally I'm a quiet drunk, and that's I don't like loud places anyway, so I don't like bars. They're always too loud. But I mean, yeah, there's been a fair number of times that I've been here with people streaming and that I've gotten drunk. I don't get drunk on my own streams. I have to make sure there's somebody who can boot me out.
I miss going to casinos and smelling booze, cigarettes, and gambling addiction. I miss that. I miss that combo of, I just gambled away Timmy's college fund.
I've cleaned up after so many booze parties. I've gotten completely sick of used alcohol smell. The leftover, the containers, it's different from like cracking open a fresh bottle or can of something, but that fucking booze in the garbage smell.
It's really funny you say that, Doc. I quit drinking a while ago. I do not think I could date anyone who had a drinking problem because of the smell.
Oh, to be fair, Will, I had you down blood type as THC positive.
I am THC, but I drink a lot of coffee. I said this yesterday because of my asthma. Someone told my
parents about weed, mate.
I know, but I drink so much coffee. They offset each other, and I'm on medication because of my lungs. And it like if I didn't smoke weed, you would think I was snorting yay or something. Like you would think I was on drugs because it gets me so hyper.
So if you weren't on drugs, we would think you were on drugs.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay.
But and it's so ironic. Something to help my lung function, I have to smoke weed to come down to be normal because it's so strong. It's so strong. Like, and I've been taking it for years and years, and it still just kicks my tail every time.
Just wanted to make sure I understood that correctly.
Drugs are bad, okay?
This is where I have to remind everyone that reality is for people who can't handle drugs.
Yeah.
I have to admit, the last time I smoked weed was years ago, and it only came in solid form, and it came in a block. Little sticks, to be fair, and you used to have to break open a cigarette and and then you have to burn this stick and sprinkle bits. We called it solid. Now it's just I have to admit, I did have a puff of a friend's joint about 5 years ago, and it just knocked me for 5, 6. It just made me mental.
I was surprised.
Yeah, fuck that stuff.
When I went to the UK, I was surprised that UK is kind of like America, where lots of people smoke weed.
Oh yeah. My God,
I was so surprised. I was like,
"What drugs you have there, we have here." Trust me.
I was just like America as far as pot goes, readily available. Everybody, it was like, "Oh no, this guy, I know a guy." It was crazy. It was crazy. Because people hear things, and then you go there, and it's completely different. And the UK is just like Portland, Oregon, for the unindoctrinated, as far as the weather goes.
I wouldn't even know what Portland's like, so.
Cloudy almost every day. The sun comes out sometimes. It rains all the time.
It doesn't rain all the time. But Will, if you look at the stupidity, if you look at religion, Black Earthers, alien abductions, drugs, any of this, guns is exactly the same as America, just scaled down a hell of a lot.
Oh
I
yeah.
was told that was actually a myth about Seattle, about it raining all the time.
In my first, I lived in Portland, Oregon. My first year living there, they counted the days the sun came out. Like, so the entire year the sun only came out like 30-something days.
Yeah, you can put Britain on probably a par with New York State, not the city. Probably a bit of the city, but you can probably put it on because we're on the same byline as New York State.
But dog, I'm from the high desert where
you live in luxury in the middle of fucking in 90-degree heat daily all year round. Look at you. It's somewhere
I love the heat. I
would be sitting there like slim loving cyborg in a thong.
No, it was in the 70s.
You live in, I will be there.
The great yellow ball in the sky has returned. What does it want? Sacrifice something.
Do you know that the Mayans actually did that, and that actually led to their downfall, because every time the moon came out, and every time the sun went down, they would sacrifice somebody. Okay, so think about how many people that is. And what they would do is get all the people from the surrounding tribes. So when the Spanish showed up, they were like, the people from the surrounding tribes were like, oh, you guys have those boomsticks? Let me take you to these guys because they're a-holes. And they took, the Spanish straight to the Mayans, because they were a-holes.
But if you go back in history, Britain's responsible for your nonsense. It really is.
If you
the
go
religious and crap part of it, and the witch burning from the Catholics throughout it.
I'm just going to point out.
People say, "Oh, we won the War of Independence." That was a British Civil War. What's up with you?
I'm just going to point out that I'm descended from Swiss Mennonites, and Calvinism is kind of a major factor there.
Okay, but one of my favorite quotes.
The language you speak is the key of your origin.
Kannst du Deutsch schwätzen?
But I
feel ashamed that Britain is responsible for. You obviously see it.
Yes, I think
your percentage is a lot more than Great Britain, but every country on the planet goes through exactly the same as you do. It's just sadly that you have a lot of people, and it's more noticeable there.
To quote my favorite Colonel Ty, if you go far enough back in time, you can blame some amoeba for splitting in two. And history's funny that way.
He sounds like he sells.
It's from Battlestar. It's from Battlestar Galactica, the reboot. Saltai. It's in the fracking.
Saltai, you mean?
For the unreal Battlestar Galactica.
One of the greatest fracking shows that was ever on television.
Yes.
Which led to Caprica, which was one of the greatest shows that never happened.
Will, would you say that I'm going back when it came out 20 years ago?
Okay.
Battlestar Galactica, would you say, 1920, would you say that the sounds in space,
I would like to point out that was 40 years ago,
were probably the most realistic interpretation of what sounds would sound like in space?
Okay, so I actually saw a special about.
No.
Okay, to answer your question, yes. No. But to answer your question, yes, but you wouldn't hear anything in space. And one of the greatest scenes of all time is when Starbuck comes back from the dead, and she pulls up next to Apollo, and they're flying through this nebula, and you see all these beautiful colors and everything. Our eyeballs would not be able to pick up that spectrum. So they would literally just be flying through space because our eyes would not be able to see it. So, it's always better in sci-fi. And I read this in Scientific America. If, let's say, like in Stargate Atlantis, okay, at the end of the series, the race ship comes to Earth and it's sitting right over Earth. Woolsey brings Atlantis all the way to Earth and they save Earth. I gave away the whole series. If you haven't seen it, boo on you. Anyways, the ship evaporates. Everything explodes. In real life, if they blew the ship up, it would get pulled into our atmosphere and it would rain like real life hell on Earth. So if something was orbiting our planet, we couldn't necessarily nuke it.
Nothing will ever orbit our planet, ever.
So don't always believe what you see in sci-fi.
That's why they invented the expression. It's only a movie.
Well, also, Will,
I like reading the science. Like Neil deGrasse Tyson is the greatest for being like, that was great.
He's
but
great.
let me show you what would really happen.
Nothing will ever orbit our planet.
Nothing will ever orbit our planet.
Like all those satellites that orbit our planet, including our own natural satellite.
No, of alien origin. But Will, let's just. I'm going back to. Space there's a medium within space. Yeah.
Okay.
So sound can carry through space. I'm just saying. That's just my bit. But obviously, any aliens in the universe have to go through what we've worked out, and that is Einstein's theory of relativity, and there is.
No, but about a year ago, Jenny checked me on the of how enormous space is. And you know what? She was right.
Oh, yeah.
So even if you did, you wouldn't hear necessarily, even if you were in the cockpit, you would not hear the sound of your own guns going off.
Wait a minute. I was right about something?
You were, and I'm petty, and I remember
Jenny,
everything.
You're always right.
I have a notepad. I have a notepad. I'm petty. I'm keeping score.
All right.
You probably could still hear vibrations going into your own ship, though.
Okay, but it's literally what do we hear? We hear vibrations in the air.
It wouldn't sound like it does in the sci-fi shows.
Yeah.
At all. Inside we'd still hear boom, boom when our guns go off.
Space has a medium.
If you're shooting them off in the craft, but not outside.
Exactly.
Right.
You would not hear anything.
Star Wars, Star Trek, all that.
Sound works because there is an atmosphere.
Right.
If there's not an atmosphere, there's no atoms to bounce off of each other to carry the sound waves.
Thank you. You wouldn't hear
the compression wave,
the only thing you would hear is your own ship rattling if it was hit with a shock wave.
Exactly. But you know how disappointed I was? That's my favorite scene. And when it got torn apart, I'm like, so if I was flying through a nebula, I wouldn't be able to see anything because my eyeballs wouldn't be able to process it, To quote John Shepard, it's always better on television. Space battles are way better on TV. I miss Stargate Atlantis. Sorry.
What did you say about that Battlestar Galactica? There was no sound of the lasers traveling through space. There was just the sound of them hitting the ship.
Wait, they didn't have lasers in the reboot for Battlestar Galactica.
No, they had guns.
You know what I mean?
The original did. The better one.
Well,
the one thing I like about
that is probably what matter would sound like traveling through space. Nothing yet in there. I thought it was quite clever. That's probably why it made. How many seasons of the new? Was it 5?
Yeah, but season 2. It was 6, but season 2 was so long they split it up into one season. But it's 2 halves. When they go to that one planet and they find all the zodiac signs that are leading them to Earth.
Mark Caesar is technically correct that the atmosphere in space is just extremely, extremely thin. That in interstellar space, it's something like being 1 atom of hydrogen for every 10 cubic centimeters.
Oh, absolutely, yeah. I agree with Mark, but there is
there's no such thing as
a medium in space that can amplify sound or move sound. Oh, there he is.
Okay, there's Stool, so it's time to shut down.
All right.
Crap.
Anyway, it was lovely to.
I just want to point out that aliens told us what space sound in space.
Hey,
would sound
Stu,
like.
how are you, mate?
Well, we're
And they did
talking
in the
about.
tagline.
Sorry.
In space, no one can hear you scream.
I love that.
A large envelope. Okay.
Same goes for Stu's back room.
Speaking of Battlestar Galactica, for any Picard fans, Gaius Baltar, go watch the new Picard.
Dude, I
have yet to watch the new Picard.
I'm not going to give it away.
I'm up to date with,
Did you know
with
that
Picard. It's getting a little silly now. Now the
they
Bald
actually
Queen's dead,
had plans for
but she's
a
not.
sort of another spin-off from Battlestar Galactica. That they had plans to do a show of the Battlestar Atlantis, which would have been the ship that colonized Earth, however many years beforehand.
Oh, that would have been awesome.
Caprica had great visuals.
Caprica was amazing.
I liked Caprica.
I loved Caprica. I have it on DVD because I'm a sci-fi.
Yeah, but
it was fanatic.
It was a show of a turn on and turn off the sound.
Their concepts were in the future though too, because
it was diesel punk.
Yeah, no one worried about sexuality. It was like the toughest guy in the show was dating, had a husband. I loved that damn. I loved that show. I absolutely loved that show. And they gave the origin of the skin job.
We're talking about Capricorn 1.
Caprica was a spin-off of Battlestar Galactica when the Sci-Fi was still trying. When the Sci-Fi Channel was still trying.
What was that one with Kevin Sorbo then? Andromeda.
Okay,
that was not sci-fi.
Okay, I'll get that was that was like when what's funny, when I was younger, that was on our crappy channel. It was on like Saturday at like.
What's on every crappy channel? In fact, people don't even bother looking at it anymore.
He was on.
It was on in syndication.
Yeah, and he was on with like Earth Final Conflict. I considered a lot of those shows put on by Scientologists because they had massive amount of money and no one was watching them, but they kept going for years. But I love Earth Final Conflict. I'm kind of biased.
I enjoyed it too.
But I liked Andromeda too.
Actually, I think sometime.
I must admit, I had an altercation with him on Twitter. And I thought, who the fuck are you? And he comes. He says in his bio, he's actor, writer, director, and all this shit. And I thought, well, let's see what you've been in.
Wait. How can you say he's an actor? I've seen Hercules, the Legendary Journey.
He played background. He played background in that comedy film 301.
Oh, he's in a lot of Christian movies that are just horrible.
Terrible.
Well, this was a sort of religion. It was a comedy. It was based on 501 with the English. The Scottish guy.
I have the first Left. I have Left Behind 1 and 2 with Kirk Cameron. I can smoke a J and watch those and laugh. Kevin Sorbo's new movies are so bad. I can't sit there for 10 minutes.
Well, I believe we don't get them over here. They're not like straight. If he was over here, they go. Obviously,
you want a real kick?
They go straight to DVD in America.
No, he's on that. Christian, sorry, Jenny, go ahead.
You want a real kick? Go to Kevin Sorbo's IMDb page and look at his row upon row upon row of all these religious flicks. It's really kind of pathetic.
That's what I'm saying.
Jenny, I wanted him to do for the Gospel according to Dog. I want him to do something. He's dead cheap on that. This get this, and God bless Rip Guilford Gottfried, who died, who did this, and he did for Amy Newman's show. But they tell themselves to do a little punchline and say something. I want them to do something, and he emailed me and says, "No, you don't like me on Twitter." What the fuck is that all about? I should post that shit actually. No, I'm not. I'm not that low. But he wouldn't affect 30 pounds from 60. That's how he's been halved in price because he's so crap. All you have to say was, I'm Kevin Sorbo. Please subscribe to Dog. He's the best, this and that. Trust me, I am Kevin Sorbo. I know stuff.
As somebody who lives, as someone who lives around famous people, like you would walk right past Kevin Sorbo and not know it's Kevin Sorbo.
Yeah, but Will, this is a guy who says he doesn't read his tweets, his responses. Yet he knows I've responded to him. That's why he would not do this.
I recently subscribed.
Shit.
Mark
The
Caesar.
guy is full of shit. I'm sorry, Kevin Sorbo, if you ever watch this, wanker.
What's that,
Mark
Porpoise?
Caesar, since Trump left office, I haven't seen Kevin Sorbo do anything to indicate he has a brain.
Oh, he's on Twitter all the time.
I'm about to block his ass because he has come in with the most idiotic tweets. I'm only like 2 months in and I can't take it.
2 months. Yeah. I've been following him for like.
I know, dog. I know because
you're not a veteran. Well, I followed him through the Trump years. What is?
No, I know, dog, because I follow you. So I got all my news on Kevin.
His best one was on the day of the insurrection, when he says, he said, the Republicans are storming the Capitol.
No, he said Antifa.
And then it's happening. And then it was, please be respectful to the police. They're only doing their job. And then after that, about an hour later, it was Antifa. after all the killings and shit, it was Antifa. He's such a. I mean that. Well, he normally plays an antagonist in a lot of his Christian films, but sometimes he plays. I think he would play. He would make a good Jesus because there's people in this world that actually do believe in Jesus so badly that they get nailed.
How do you know? There's no such thing as Jesus.
He'd make a great Judas Iscariot in a new production of Jesus Christ.
No, thank you.
I saw Jesus Christ Superstar at the Crystal.
I was on Neil the 406 Atheist channel, and there is facts from the Vatican.
Dog, could you let someone respond, please?
There is no Jesus. He did never exist. And I've always said this on many channels, regarding religion, that
okay, dog.
The Romans were. Yeah, I will move back. I am in.
I was just gonna say I've seen Jesus Christ Superstar and Joseph in the Technicolor coat, and I went stoned to the Joseph in the Technicolor coat, and it was kind of awesome actually at the Crystal Cathedral in Southern California.
After Will, Joseph in the Technicolor Dreamcoat is good live.
It is. I've actually seen it twice, but I like live. I love live theater, so I'll see. If you put on a good show, I'll pay money and go see it. I love live theater.
Yeah.
I love live theater too. I just generally can't afford it.
Oh, nowadays well, now that I know what these organizations are about, I wouldn't give them money to. But like when I went the first time, I was with my church. The second time was with my family, and the third I was with my cousin.
I saw it live in London.
I've seen the producers more.
Germany was having trouble. Let's go.
I love that damn. I have the movie. I've seen the LA and the New York version.
Yeah, I've never seen that one.
I effing love the producer.
I only know about it through its reputation. I've never actually seen it.
The original Mel Brooks movie is the best one, though.
I got to see Matthew Broderick face to face because of it. I'd never seen him, in person before.
He's great. I love Matthew Broderick.
Absolutely. Just people like that, because we've seen him in the movie, we forget they have range. Like, he has range. Like, he's talented.
He was actually their first choice to be Marty McFly in the Back to the Future series. But he had already signed on for another project when they were due to start filming.
That's awesome.
What Mel Brooks movie are you on about? Are you on about
The Producers.
Matthew, Mark, Luke, and Duck?
The Producers.
Okay.
Okay, not sure what happened, but carry on.
Now I just have a British tar stuck in my head, Gilbert and Sullivan.
Oh, hey,
Might have
Jim.
might have just lost his connection.
Most likely, he'll probably be back in a minute.
That's the one thing I miss about living in the city of Los Angeles is that I could walk out of my apartment and go and see like real productions of plays. I miss that.
Well, Minneapolis has live theaters all over the place.
We have rednecks.
We have
And we got a Monster Truck Show here
That's
last
a
year.
good substitute.
Yeah. Porpoise, you killed me with that one. Like we have like real aspiring thespians here, and you're like, we have rednecks. I love off because we have a Broadway in LA, which is in downtown LA, but I love our off Broadway. I've seen some really interesting shows. Have you
ever seen the Book of Mormon?
Sorry.
Twice, Jenny. I've seen it twice.
As an ex-Mormon, sorry.
I still have yet to see it. I really want to someday.
Oh, it's hilarious.
As an ex-Mormon, I've had to tell people, it's like, this has nothing to do with the actual Book of Mormon, right? And they would argue with me. It's like, no, go read the book. It has nothing to do with the Book of Mormon.
No, it's not at all. Because I grew up around Mormons, I had to go see it. I had to, and my next door neighbor loved it so much that he started taking people, like he would buy tickets and he started taking people in the neighborhood. He's like, you have to see this. So my whole neighborhood has seen it at least twice.
And I boo.
Skins Crasher.
Americans have been they give out the greatest movies ever. I mean, you've got the finance and the ability to. Britain's probably famous for James Bond, and that's it.
Yeah, but like
there's some good stories, but you've got your Die Hards and.
But I'm into acting.
About the Stallone movies,
but Doug, I'm into acting. I'm into acting, so like I watch a lot of stuff from your country. Like I love John Thaw, so anything that John Thaw has been in, I've watched. Penelope Keith, Prunella Scales,
Scales is suffering from dementia at the moment.
Yeah, I know. We all get old. We all. I hope I live that long.
You're talking about Faulty Towers, yeah?
Yeah. Oh, yeah. But I also watched After Henry as well.
How do you even get on with that sort of comedy?
I love watching acting. I love certain eras, and I go looking for these things. When I lived in Portland, Oregon, the one thing I loved about Portland is that I saw Casablanca in the movie theaters. I saw Rear Window in the movie theaters. The Big Lebowski for the 50th millionth time in the movie theaters. Like, if it's a good production, I'll watch it.
Skits Crasher, we have meth labs too. Having rednecks.
We have them here too in LA. They're on the news all the time.
On the other hand, living out here, you get to see a lot of fine examples of redneck engineering.
This is what I found a lot of lately on YouTube is these guys who have been on YouTube for literally a month and have thousands of followers just for reacting to British comedy and British stuff. And for some reason, I don't see the irony in it. I don't find the point. They're reacting to British shows. They've
feel
been
the
on.
same.
They started their channel a month ago, and they've got 46k followers.
There's
or
a
46K subs.
there's a content creator named Fail Whale, and he watches Stargate. And at first, it kind of hurt my feelings because I was like, "What do you under 40s know about effing Stargate?" But you know what? He's introducing it to a whole different age group. You know,
Okay, here's the most famous live theater in Portland.
I miss. I hope my friend's watching right now. I hope she's watching right now because
That fire coming out of there.
yes,
Yes.
it is, and that's the Darth Vader mask too. And
Yeah,
keep
It's got
Portland
the
wearing-
crown. Wearing the
I
kilt. I'm playing the bagpipes.
I have a sweatshirt that when I left Oregon, they gave me a sweatshirt that says "Keep William Weird."
Did they not give you a kilt and a unicycle, Will?
Oh, that's standard issue.
I would have
That's
thought.
standard. I miss Portland. I absolutely miss Portland. But the place,
Wasn't Portland the focus of the Goonies? Probably the greatest film that's ever left planet Earth.
oh, I'm gonna get creamed for not remembering. It's not Tillamook. It's the coast. It's the Oregon coast.
Yeah, I thought it was all. I thought it was Portland, Oregon, on the coast.
No, Portland, Oregon is-
Boondocks.
Portland,
Was it
Oregon's
the
on the-
Boondocks, and they
No.
call themselves not the
Portland-
Boondocks, but the
Portland's
Boondocks
on the
in
Willamette. Portland's on the Willamette River.
I would have thought Portland, probably it's called Port, would be on some sort of coast.
Okay, so fun fact, it's a giant port because the Willamette River is huge. And so I've seen full cruise ships come in through Portland, Oregon.
I'd also like to remind you, I've been to a town
Oh, it's in you. They
in
got
Pennsylvania called Jersey Shore.
It was
Yeah,
filmed in
exactly.
Oregon.
Exactly, Porpoise. That's what I'm saying.
That's all I want to know. I think they called it the Boondocks, didn't he?
I hope it is. If my friend
I think The Goonies is a great film.
if my friend
awesome
Liz
film.
is watching
That's what I'll watch over and over again.
Dog.
The only super film.
Astoria, isn't that the name of the town in the Goonies?
thank you, Doc. Thank you.
No, Astoria. Wasn't that
Astoria.
wasn't that Wayne's World? Astoria.
Yeah,
my-
Jinzu had it already.
And my friend from Portland just told me last year they had 37
Yeah.
days where the sun came out.
She got it right.
Before I have to leave,
Well, I thought
tonight, 'cause I have
Astoria.
company-
Was it Astoria? Was it Astoria the Wayne's World?
Hold on, I don't have a deep voice. What's that, Porpoise?
Wait, you don't have a deep, booming voice? I can do that just fine.
I don't at all. I have an extremely high voice.
I just want to let Dog know that he shouldn't get too down on British film too much, because there wasn't an American version of The Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy that was terrible, and it was not as good as the BBC miniseries.
Very true.
I have it on VHS. I still watch it. I still
the
watch
film.
the
There
original.
were a couple of American versions of Hitchhiker's Guide, and none of them should have ever happened.
I've seen all of them. They're bad. They're bad. And you know what? To go back
The
to
Americans will never, ever, 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 and they've thought about it, is do Doctor Who.
I'm anti.
don't want-
reboot. Oh, sorry. Go ahead.
I don't want Americans to do Doctor Who any more than I want the British to do Star Trek. Now,
But-
Ridgeworth works
Oh,
best with a team of Americans and British people working on it.
I liked the Paul McGann movie, and I watched it when it originally aired because I'm a geek. It was on Fox.
Yeah.
I totally remember because it was a big deal because Doctor Who was on prime time in America.
The people who scripted and produced the American version of Hitchhiker's Guide had no concept of why it was funny.
No,
They
didn't.
clearly didn't get most of the jokes because they edited so many of them out.
Yes.
But in America, we don't tell dry jokes. We blow stuff up and punch each other.
Yeah, it's just not our
So-
style of humor.
So we have different humor in America. That's why I watch so much stuff from the UK, because you have to actually think about what they're saying while you're watching it and pay attention to the story.
The closest we get to it is Airplane.
I love Airplane.
Oh, Airplane. What a great film. Airplane 2. I mentioned this tonight on stream. Airplane 2. When they had when you're going through the they're going through the terminal, and there's a poster that says Rocky XXX1V, because they knew Sylvester Stallone is just going to keep making these fucking nonsense films that are all the same, every single one. But it was just the poster, the protagonist was just a little old bald man just with boxing, massive boxing gloves on.
I have a really quick question. And does anybody ever take the YouTube creator survey?
No.
When they're like, "Oh, give us your feedback."
I did like 2 years ago or something, but yeah, I gave up on them.
Because I've done it.
Because clearly they never listen.
Exactly. I've done it twice. The reason I say that is because I've done it twice in the past month, and they're asking me for the third time. It's like they're sadomasochists. I'm telling them everything I think is wrong with them, and they're like coming back for more.
It is the most pleasant advert YouTube have since Google took over, because you wait a couple of seconds and you can skip it. Other than that, you have to go through these adverts. Like you hover with your finger or your mouse over the skip ad thing. It says 5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
Oh no, it's an
actual. It goes to another advert, and then you get them pop-ups on screen as well.
It's a survey that's in. It's
a Catholic.
It's a survey that's in YouTube Studio. So in YouTube Studio, they're asking me, "Hey, can we get your feedback?" And I give it to them, and they keep on asking me for more. And I'm saying they're sadomasochists because I have a list, and I tell them, "You suck because of this. You suck because of this." Tell StreamYards they need to get a hand raising.
They want a better review from you, but the adverts have gone insane on YouTube since Google took it over last year.
No,
just use AdBlock Plus and make sure to send them with larger.
And they send you adverts.
I use
that
Google
if you
Chrome
pay for it, you can use the adverts.
What's that, Bert?
I use Google Chrome with AdBlock Plus, and I virtually never see an ad on YouTube.
Unless it's embedded.
Yeah, but AdBlock Plus is real good at catching them. It's like anytime I've closed my browser and I've had to restart it, it'll show the ads for a couple of them at, when I first start, but I can go weeks at a time without seeing an ad.
Anyway, that's a lovely mug in the trans colors there. I have a calculus class to attend tomorrow. So remember, everyone, be excellent to each other.
Okay, you have anything you want to plug before you go?
Well, I can't plug the creator surveys because I don't even know why YouTube sends them to me, because I clearly don't have Jyuni Pie level subscribers. If you remember to like, comment, and subscribe to this channel. If you want to check out my channel, it's the Sinister Porpoise 1. And sometime after the semester is over, I will probably be doing a short video on the history of Ada Lovelace.
Awesome.
So long, and thanks for all the fish.
Bye. Bye.
Okay, yeah, I think I had better wrap it up here anyway. We did 2 hours.
Oh, and we still haven't done 2 hours.
By the time we've wrapped up, we'll be over 2 hours.
Oh gosh.
Jenny just got here, so she's ready to burn the house down like Elvis. Did you know in the Vegas days, Elvis would do a 3 or 4 hour show, and then because he was on a bunch of cocaine, he would go backstage and sing gospel until the sun came up with his friends. It's a great documentary on PBS that I saw on PBS.
It's I found it sad, Will, that that guy was a worldwide sensation, yet was never allowed to travel beyond America. That's just
okay. Dog, you have any final words?
No, mate. Thanks for having me on, and thanks for sending me the link. It's always a great show, and I love you all. I love Will, Dot, and Jenny, and
all right. Don't keep going on.
Just
Jeez.
crack on.
Well, anytime.
Your own stuff. Just leave me alone.
Okay, Jenny, you have any final words?
When
can I say one more thing? I did not sink Jenny's battleship. Don't blame the British on that one.
Okay, Jenny.
When the moon is in the 7th house and Jupiter aligns with Mars, peace will guide the planets and love will steer the stars.
Age of Aquarius.
I wondered who'd figure that out.
The Age of Aquarius start in the mid-60s. Okay, Doc, you have any final words?
No,
I believe the actual.
Doc.
Hey, quit talking over people.
I was going to say, I was floored by Jenny's interpretation of life. Brilliant.
Okay, Dog, let everybody have a turn. Doc?
I was just going to say the actual, as I understand it, the astrological age of Aquarius doesn't start until 2078 or something like that, or 2172, something like that.
Well, this is just the dawning of the age of Aquarius.
Yeah. It's like 100 years from now. So it's a hell of a dawning.
Okay. So I am Godless Sewing of the Godless Sewing channel. Go subscribe to the Godless Sewing channel. Really quick, are you tired of Will Smith and Jada Pinkett? Are you tired of the same old crap? Come on down to the Godless Sewing channel and hear me rant about sewing machines and talk about things that I actually love to do. Godless Sewing at the Godless Sewing channel. Be there or be square. Godless Sewing. Oh, and don't forget to tip your waitress on the way out, and thank you for attending tonight's show. Thank you very much.
And don't get pregnant.
Don't get caught, and don't get pregnant.
Don't get run over.
Okay, well, with that, I would just like to thank my Patreon subscribers. Skits Crasher is my newest subscriber.
Woo!
Along with Dog here. And Greg Hartwick, Robert X, the Lavender Lady, Ox, and Jyuni the Apostate. I appreciate you all, helping me keep going. And we're going to be coming up on the 4th anniversary here soon. So, not sure what I can do to make it special, but we'll certainly do an AMA. So if anybody has any questions for me or any of the regular people on the panel here.
You already make the world special, perhaps. You're a good girl. You just keep doing your stuff.
And with that, we will bid you all a good night.
He's right.
Quiet, Dog.
Okay, Jenny, what?
Could I just make one last comment, please?
Sure, certainly.
Dear chat, this is going to be something you've heard out of my mouth before, but it's becoming very critical at this point. The nasty hate trans bills are continuing to proceed in the various state assemblies. Yes, many of them will be found unconstitutional, but it's going to be absolute hell for a bunch of children who may kill themselves as a result.
Yeah.
Please, please, please break out of your shell, write your state representatives, demand that they reject this stuff, even if they're a red guy. They got to hear what you have to say.
Yeah. Because
please take the time to relate to your friends and family, to discuss the image, if they or the issue. If they think that it's just a horrible, geeky, terrible thing that we are, find some resources for them to look at and find out that we're real people, that we're normal. We're as normal as they are. We just got this birth defect that we got to deal with.
Yeah, unfortunately,
okay? It's becoming literally lethal.
Yeah, even for things to be found unconstitutional is a long, slow process, and it can take years before these laws could be overturned.
Yes.
So, just give us a hand. The time is now. We do it or we die.
Yeah, and as Jenny said, we're probably going to see a huge spike in the teenage suicide rate while these things are in place.
It's a sad statistic.
So, okay.
And humanity should be ashamed of these children.
So good night to all. We will catch you later.
Hashtag